Good morning, and welcome to Unity of Bellevue's online celebration service. I'm so grateful that you're joining us this morning for week 14 of online service. My name is Susan Neidig. I'm one of the prayer chaplains here at Unity of Bellevue. Our beloved Reverend Marla cannot be with us this morning. Her mother, Noreen, entered hospice care a few days ago. We pray for and affirm a pain-free and peaceful transition for Noreen. We know that Reverend Marla and her family are supported in God's love and find ease and grace in this time of transition and grief. Here at Unity, we're all about waking up. We are about expressing God's love through us and as us. Even as we are all separated in time and space, we are one with each other and one with God. There is no separate, no other. There is only one. Our theme this month is beauty and the soul. Here's what's happening today. Monica McDowell-Elvick and myself will be presiding over the service. Our beloved Becca Palm will be blessing us with music and songs. And we have a guest speaker. Reverend Masando Hiraoka is returning to us this morning. Reverend Masando will be speaking on the heart of beauty. I'll provide his background now so we don't interrupt the flow of service. Reverend Masando received his bachelor's degree in religious studies from the University of Colorado, Boulder, was introduced to his meditation practice during his travels in India through Naropa University's Buddhist Studies program, and received a master's in consciousness studies from Holmes Institute. He has a monthly column, The Art of Being Human, in the Science of Mind magazine, and is also the first graduate and current chair of Centers for Spiritual Living Regeneration Program. He's currently serving as an assistant minister at Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado, in charge of the Social Uplift Ministry, which focuses on interfaith engagement, environmental responsibility, nonviolence, and human dignity for all, including racial justice and creating a culture of inclusion. We're so grateful to have him with us this morning. Thank you, Reverend Masando, for joining us. Becca has a song to open our service this morning. Becca?
Good morning, beautiful community. Welcome, Reverend Masando. And Marla, when you get a chance, or if you're watching, we love you and our thoughts are with you. We are here having a taste of this moment in eternity, being the mirror as well as the face. In this moment of eternity, we breathe in, we breathe out. It's right here, it's right now. We take in, we give out. It's all here, it's all now. We're the sweet cold water and the jar that pours in this moment of eternity. An endless sky and a bird that soars in this moment of eternity. We breathe in, we breathe out. It's right here, it's right now. We take in, we give out. It's all here, it's right now. We take and we give out. It's all here, it's all now. In this moment of eternity, in this moment of eternity, in this moment of eternity.
Thank you, Becca. So let us turn within in the awareness of the one life, the one mind that lives and breathes us all. The source of all abundance, peace, grace, joy, love, and all there is. We anchor in the one life, confident that all is well. We allow ourselves to be lifted in consciousness, knowing that there is no separate, there is no other. We are the one love. I give thanks for the technology that allows this spiritual community to come together in these times. I give thanks for the music, the message, and for the people who are gathered in this virtual space. I open this service with a grateful heart and let it unfold, knowing that we are all open and receive the message. I call it good and very good, and so it is. Amen. On the screen is our affirmation for today. I'll give you a few minutes to read it silently, then we'll read it together. Oops, Monica, go. Yeah, there we go. All right, so together with conviction. Whoops. Divine. I look for and I find beauty everywhere as I am led to ever greater expressions of my creative self. I am a conscious creator of beauty, and I delight in every moment of my life, and so it is.
And so it is. Some of you heard this before, and it just felt like the right thing to say this morning with things that are going on. I know this kind-hearted man. We've learned different prayers, we eat different foods, but still we're friends. His accent, brown-colored skin can make folks afraid even though they don't know him. Can we ever look past the surface, know each other, come together in a world where everyone belongs and everyone's a gift? When we lift up each other, we learn from one another and keep in mind where we've come from. It's simple to see through the complexity, the beauty in everyone. Sometimes they want to hold hands, say their marriage vows, have a family and settle down. Will we embrace all their plans when her wife appears or his husband wears the wedding gown? Can we ever look past the surface and know each other and come together in a world where everyone belongs. Everyone's a gift. When we lift up each other and learn from one another, and keep in mind where we've come from, it's simple to see through the complexity, the beauty in everyone. It's a deep slumber, but we're starting to stir. I want to wake up and burn off this fog. There's a sweet whisper or a desperate blur. What will it take to make us all see that everyone belongs? Everyone's a gift. When we lift up each other, we learn from one another, and keep in mind where we've come from. It's simple to see through the complexity, the beauty in everyone. It's simple to see through the complexity, the beauty in everyone.
Oh, it was beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Unity of Bellevue, for having me back. It was just a month ago, I think it was here, but a lot has changed in that short period of time in our world. Our world just continues to wake us up over and over and over again. I was already scheduled to be here this weekend. So it was really great timing, kind of divine timing, right? To be able to support Reverend Marla and just being present with herself and her heart and her mom and her family. So just trust that the divine is always present in all that we do, and just know that we're supporting her here today. So we are starting this series on the heart of beauty. Please know that I'm going to be going into everything that's going on in the world, but just going to start with this concept of beauty as we are starting this Beauty of the Soul series for this month. Beauty is this amazing thing, right? It has this power to nurture and transform and to heal. You all in the Pacific Northwest, I think, are very familiar with the natural beauty of the world. And actually, my wife and I were just talking about once all this is over and we can start traveling again, I think we want to, like, the first place we want to go is to the Pacific Northwest. There's something about that place. We love rain, by the way. Like, we're pluviophiles, which there's a word for loving rain. It's called pluviophile. We love the rain, and so there's something about the rain. There's something about the green. There's something about how ancient the forests feel up there that, without a doubt, like, has healed me, has nurtured me. It is a gentle energy up there that I think allows me just to feel my inner life a little bit more. And without a doubt, the beauty of that nature has the possibility to do that. You know, out here in Colorado, we have the same thing, and it's a different kind of energy, but the majesty of nature and the mountains out here undoubtedly have this capacity, right, to heal, to nurture, to even transform and help me get out of my small thinking and into a wider view of the world. To stand in awe is a beautiful spiritual practice. But then when we start talking about beauty and humans start getting involved, it gets a little more complex, right? Like, these beauty standards that we all are navigating and just like living in, those are things I think that are a little more complicated, right? Like, as a kid, I was really a confident kid. I was maybe even borderline cocky. I like really loved who I was, and I walked through the world like that. And it was interesting, right? Because as I got older, as the culture started, you know, dripping into my consciousness, I noticed that that my confidence began to wean a little bit. And maybe it's just like those teenage and young adult years where everything feels kind of crazy and we're trying to figure out who we are. But like in standards, the standards of what was attractive or beautiful began, I think, to trickle in on me, right? I began to think like, oh man, I wish I was taller. Uh, I wish I was, uh, I wish I was white, like so more girls might, pick me out in a crowd. Um, I found myself being constricted by a standard that I didn't create, that I was trying to fit into this beauty standard, right? Um, and I noticed how that affected me and how I had to live uh, with that, right? And through that. And a big part of my coming to spiritual communities, right, was recognizing that those things were going on in my mind and seeking to create a new story, right? Seeking to find the truth of that deeper beauty that I am. And that's a huge piece of what brought me to this, right? Like I came to this in sort of an angstified place in my teenage years, and I found all of this beauty within. So what's going on there? Like why did I feel so different after like growing up through this culture? And through my diversity and inclusion work, I want to share this concept with you, which is this idea of socialization. Can you all see that? So this is something I learned about in my diversity and inclusion work. And I think it's a really relevant topic for everything that's going on in the world, but really for what we were talking about here too. So socialization refers to the process of internalizing the norms and ideologies of society that we have learned through all of these institutions and systems that you see here, right? Like these are all the places that we are being influenced by things, right? Our peer groups, our family, our school, our church, mass media, of course, our ethnic or cultural background, our workplace. Like these are all the spaces that we are living in and walking through. And these are all the things that are kind of impacting our consciousness, and the collective consciousness reflects the collective consciousness we're in, right? And based on these, we're taught how to think about ourselves and others, how to interact with others, how to understand what is expected of us, and a specific set of social identities we were born into, and then what the outcome is if we deviate from that. Like if we fall outside of that, or if we act differently from sort of these social norms, what we have also an idea of what will happen if we deviate from that, right? What's really interesting is like that last sentence. This cycle is self-perpetuating, complex, and often invisible, right? It's self-perpetuating in that like I began to internalize some of these ideas of beauty, right? That I was seeing in all of these different circles that you're seeing on your screen right now. And if I didn't fall into those norms, I began to feel this disconnect within myself and began to feel like beauty was something outside of myself that I could not live up to, right? Does that make sense? It's complex because it is so intertwined in all of these areas of our life that it's often, impossible to even discern or see, right? And that's what makes it invisible, right? Especially if we do fall into these categories, right? If we do happen to fall into a social norm, and if we benefit from that, it becomes invisible to us, right? It becomes a blind spot. It's only when we're not when we're not in that circle, so to speak, that it really becomes clear. And I notice this happens, right? Like not just with race and identity, but with body image as well. And there are ways to interrupt this too, right? So there's this really great show that I feel like speaks to this idea of beauty in this really cool way. And it's this show called Shrill. And Shrill it's on Hulu, by the way. They're not paying me to to promote it, but it's this show that I think really challenges the standards of beauty that have been pervasive in our society. So let's see, can you see that? So this is Shrill. The main character is Adie Bryant, and you might recognize her from Saturday Night Live. She's on Saturday Night Live, and she's the main character, and she is this quirky, fun, incredibly intelligent writer that the whole show kind of follows. And there's this playwright, Shirai Bohannon, that did a review of the show, and I found that her words were just so beautiful. So I just want to share them with you, like her experience of watching the show and what it sort of opened up for her. She said, "The first season of Shrill on Hulu made me feel seen in a way that I'm not used to. We don't often see fat women who are happy in their bodies or working to be happy in their bodies, because most media would have you believe that we're miserably obsessing over calories and trying to lose weight. I found myself rooting for Annie, played by Annie Bryant, as she began to unlearn the societal prejudices regarding her weight and recognized how that has impacted how she lives in her own body." She goes on to say that in one episode, Annie attends a pool party of nothing but gorgeous big girls lounging around in cute swimwear. "I nearly cried during this scene because we're never shown in the media as being happy, sexy, unashamed, fully realized human beings. We're always sidekicks or comic relief, but we're never the romantic lead or a serious leading lady. It was breathtaking to see this magical space where fat women could just exist. It never occurred to me there might be a place where me and my fatness could be completely at ease, and in that moment, I longed for a magical space of my own." Right? I think her reclaiming of that word fat that has been used as a derogatory term says a lot in this. But I think it also shows the magical space that can be created when we begin to see the ways in which we have been socialized to value one type of body over another, right? I mean, the diet industry is $1 billion industry, right? Like, there is a ton of money made off of creating a story in which, if you do not fit this mold, I have something that will help you do that, so that you can find the value, the happiness, the beauty, the sexiness that you're looking for, right? That's a socialization that's happening in that, right? The freedom that can come is when we recognize that happiness, that beauty, that sexiness can happen in this very body that we're in, right? The standard was created by something else, by someone else, not by the divine. And we have this ability to interrupt this idea that we have to fit into that in order to feel love, in order to feel valued, in order to walk through the world in our own bodies in a way where we feel the divine presence in us and through us as us, right? And that's the beautiful thing. That's our spiritual work that we get to do, right? I think so much of our spiritual work is recognizing the stories that we may have internalized about ourselves. recognizing that maybe this story isn't serving me, and then praying affirmatively, right? Recognizing the truth and aligning with that. So much so that our thoughts, our behaviors, the ways that we carry ourselves begin to transform as well. And the world then becomes a reflection of that internalized greater truth, recognizing like, I am beauty, right? Like, I am beauty. And so I say all this in the context of this month that we're going through, talking about beauty. And you all are going to be doing a book study of this book called Beauty and the Soul, The Extraordinary Power. What is it? The Extraordinary Power of Everyday Beauty to Heal Your Life. This is what the author says. He says, we never know when and where we will find beauty. If we look for it where we have been told to, if we already know or believe we know where to find it, the search becomes too predictable. But if we are ready to discover it in the most unexpected moments, if our attitude is such that we have no preconceived idea of when the decisive moment will be, then the range of our possibilities become immeasurable, right? And so I would say it's not only if we're only looking for beauty in the ways that we've been taught to, if we're only seeing ourselves as part of that beauty, if we happen to fall into the categories in which have been created for us, not only does it become predictable, but it becomes limited, right? We're not able to discover and find the beauty that exists in all things, in all people, at all times, no matter who we are, no matter what our age, no matter what our race, no matter what, right? And this is really just like the core of this thing called diversity, right? It's this recognition that like beauty is somehow a part of the divine, right? That beauty exists in all of it. And part of our job, I think, maybe is to seek to find it. And when we do, when we are witnessing beauty in ourselves, when we're seeing the beauty reflected around us, then we are getting a glimpse of the divine, right? So Ernest Holmes, I know we're at a Unity church. Ernest Holmes is part of the Unity family, the New Thought family. But this is what he says, because sometimes I think we shouldn't focus on our differences, right? If we believe in oneness, if we believe in unity, we should only focus on the things that unite us. We should only focus on the things that we have in common. But this is what Dr. Ernest Holmes says. He says, since everything is an individualization of the universal, every spark is alike in that it is divine. It is made of the same cosmic stuff, but no two sparks are identical. Thank God for that. The process in nature is the multiplication of an infinite variation of unified identities. That's very poetic, Ernest Holmes. No one of which is identical with the other, even though each and all are in the same field. And this is crucial. Unity and uniformity are not the same thing. No two blades of grass are alike. What does it mean spiritually? It means that incarnated within each one of us is not only a divine spark, not only an incarnation of the living spirit of the cosmos, but a unique presentation of the cosmic whole. So what he's saying there, right? Or at least what I hear when he says that, is that, the point when we're doing work around diversity, When we're in a time where we're really looking at race as a collective in our country, the idea of being, I've heard this sometimes, like, I don't see color, right? I only see the divine. I don't see color. I only see the divine reflection in you, no matter what your skin color is, right? And there's some truth to that. There's some beauty in that. But I think we cut ourselves off from really experiencing that unique individualization, that unique spark when we don't see the beauty of a person exactly as they are, when we're not trying to make everything the same, when we're actually recognizing that the beauty lies in the difference. The beauty lies in the individualization. The beauty lies in you seeing me and me seeing you exactly as you are. I don't need to see through anything. I'm just looking at you. And I'm looking at you and I'm seeing beauty, right? Like that's what we're doing in this work together. I had one of my friends say, if you don't see color, then you don't see me, right? So the point is to recognize that, we don't need to be afraid of our differences, that our differences are actually our strength, and the ways in which some differences have been valued more than others is what we get to look at right now, right? What we get to look at is the ways that we've cut ourselves off from beauty, the ways in which that has manifested in our systems, in our schools, in our lending practices, in all of the ways in which these subtle things have shown up in our world, right? And again, if we are folks that have benefited from those things, we probably can't see it. So maybe right now is the time where it feels like a lot, that we're learning a lot right now. And that's okay too, right? But know that like every time you learn something, you're opening yourself up to more beauty. Cheryl Strayed, she's an amazing writer. If you ever saw the movie Wild, she's the writer that movie is based on. She talks about how her mother, she had this phrase of saying like, put yourself in the way of beauty. Every time we are brave enough to look at what's going on in the world, every time we listen to the suffering of another, every time we see a person exactly for who they are, not trying to only focus on the ways we are same, but saying, hey, all the ways we are different is a part of this beauty. We put ourselves in the way of beauty. We put ourselves in a place where that beauty can be more revealed to us so that we can align with it even more deeply, right? That's the spiritual work that we get to do right now. And so oneness is not sameness. The goal is not to be colorblind, but to be colorful. And when you look at what's happening right now, there's a response to the suffering of one group that has been experiencing this kind of suffering and oppression since the beginning of our country. And they're saying a really powerful affirmation right now that we're all being invited into. And that affirmation is Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And I know there's a lot of ways in which we want to respond with, well, all lives matter, right? But similarly to what we were saying before is that we are going into, when we say Black Lives Matter, we are saying an incredibly powerful affirmation. Just similar to saying, I am beauty. We are acknowledging the fact that for whatever reason, there are many historical reasons that collectively our society has not shown and practiced and lived up to Black Lives Mattering, right? So there's this incredible poet from Atlanta that I think breaks it down, and I'll talk about it a little bit more after he shares with us. Let's see. His name is Royce Mann. He's from Atlanta. This particular poem was shared, I think, 4 years ago. So I think he was 14 when he shared this, but he's 18 now. And I just wanted to share this with you.
All lives matter, but one, so do Black lives. Why do two phrases that should work side by side seem to only divide? Two, that's all anyone's saying. Black lives matter too. 11, that's how many times I can't breathe, 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 I can't breathe. Eric Garner said I can't breathe before he was killed by police. So I guess those 3 words only mean stop if you're white. 15, that's how old Cameron Sterling was when he lost his father. 15, that's how old Cameron Sterling was when he said we must protest the right way. 15, that's how old Cameron Sterling was when he said peace, not guns. 20, so why were 20 officers shot in retaliation when all that separates black and blue is only a few shades? 52, it's been 52 years since the Civil Rights Act passed and everyone supposedly became equal. Well, guess what? We're in 2016 and films about equality are still part of the fantasy genre. 102. That's how many unarmed black people were killed by police last year. One is one more than that number should have been.
Oh my God.
It's powerful to say that statement and to listen to it and to hear that poetry and allow ourselves to be moved by it before we go to a feeling of defensiveness, before we talk about how all lives matter. Just to listen to the real pain and the real power that is being communicated. And if it helps you to say Black Lives Matter too, as well, maybe that's a good place to start. When we see NFL players taking a kneel and we make it about the flag, we're deflecting from what it's really about, and we're prioritizing a flag over a life. When we see the looting that could be happening that is obviously built up from years and years of suffering and sadness, and seeing this over and over and over again and experiencing it in your families and in your friends, and we only focus on the looting and we say, I agree with what they're doing, but I don't agree with how they're doing it, we're putting property and we're valuing property over lives. And when we say all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter, we are turning away from the crying out of that statement and the power of that affirmation. We are closing our hearts off from actually hearing that, hearing both, like I said before, the pain and the power in that. And we're valuing getting back to our own sense of comfort over the value of another life. So all lives matter is a real thing, right? But if it's said in response to Black Lives Matter, it's a deflection away from the power and the beauty and the pain of that statement, right? And so, my invitation to all of us as we walk through this time, when we're wondering what to do, the invitation is to just feel into the power of that statement and recognize that it's transformative work to begin to stand for Black lives, not because it's the right thing to do, not because it's the liberal thing to do, not because it's the progressive thing to do, but because it actually has touched your heart enough to want to do it, right? Not because it's a trend, not so that 6 months from now we'll forget about it and go back, but it's actually moved us enough, like internalized us enough that we can do something about it, right? One of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, her name is Patrisse Cullors. And this is what she says about the movement. And when people begin to enter into it, she says, you see the light that comes inside of people, to other communities that are like, I'm going to stand on the side of Black lives. You see people literally transforming. And that's a different type of work. And for me, that is a spiritual work. It's a healing work and human to human. If you take a moment to be with somebody, to understand the pains they're going through, you get to transform yourself. This is transformative work that we're all in. This is not some sort of cause. This is not some sort of moral thing. This is not some hidden agenda by the left. This is just deep, beautiful, heart-wrenching, transformative work that is putting ourselves ultimately in the way of beauty, maybe in a way that we haven't been able to do before, right? So what's ours to do? Just like in the ways that we've been socialized around our bodies and the way our bodies should look, we also have to unravel the ways we've been socialized around race, right? And recognize that there are, in all of these circles that you're seeing, that we can have an impact on all of those circles, right? That we can get out on the streets and protest in solidarity, and then we can have a conversation with a family member, and then we can see how this socialization and this internalization of Black lives mattering less, right? Of how that may show up in our schools or in our workplaces, and seek out stories in our media that are valuing and showing and putting on display the beauty and power and value of Black lives. It's a shift in consciousness that we are all doing. And so every time we say Black Lives Matter, it is a positive affirmation for ourselves and for the universe. Every time we say it, it allows everything to organize around it. Similar to the way that we would say, I am beauty. And when we say that, we begin to hold ourselves differently. We begin to dress differently. We begin to demand and see that other people see our beauty too. We walk in the world through a different way. And the same thing can happen when we say Black Lives Matter, and we can organize around that statement, right? There's this Dr. Robert K. Ross. He says it this way. He says, I think what Black Lives Matter is a living case study about the narrative change in framing. It's about the narrative and change in framing. It's about the change of consciousness, right? Because then it leads to, okay, if Black Lives Matter, what does it mean for schools? If Black Lives Matter, then what does it mean for police reform? If Black Lives Matter, then what does it mean for economic development and jobs? And so it leads to a whole host of, okay, so if that's true, what does that mean for blank, right? What a powerful affirmation Black Lives Matter is. It's not just a hashtag. It's not just a movement. It is a way for all of us to collectively and individually shift the consciousness, which is the work of our spiritual life, is to continually shift and expand our consciousness, right? And sometimes it's uncomfortable at first. Sometimes it's hard to recognize and wake up to all of the things that we have been socialized into. But on the other side of that discomfort is beauty. On the other side of that discomfort is joy. On the other side of that discomfort is transformation. And we all have a role to play in that. So the heart of beauty is what I'm appealing to right now, is that we connect with our hearts. And if we have resistance to saying Black Lives Matter, make it an affirmation in your life. Say it 108 times out loud in a row. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. And allow it to sink in to every cell of your being. So that when things that are showing up that are not in congruence, that are not in alignment with that, then you know what is yours to do. It's your North Star. It's a way for us to get back to the truth, right? And we will say it and continue to say it until we don't have to say it anymore. We're living in an incredible time, y'all. This pandemic has put us into a collective consciousness in a way we've never seen. And it's revealing things that we probably didn't want to take a look at. The disparities of the coronavirus have shown themselves, right? This coronavirus can hit everyone, but the way that it is hitting us is not the same. Just do a little bit of research if you want to find out more about that. What's happening now is just a furthering of that. As of yesterday, protests were happening in every single state in the United States, in over 40 countries around the world, on every single continent except Antarctica. I don't know, maybe penguins are protesting and we don't know. But we're entering into this beautiful collective consciousness time where the whole world is connected. So being a part of the beauty is feeling that connection too. So I'm going to ground all of this in some prayer. I apologize for going a little bit over in time. There's some motorcycles running outside. Sorry for that noise. But let's just connect. Let's just drop into that place. Let's drop into that heart. Let's drop into that part of us that can know and recognize beauty and feel it not only within us, but within all of life. For what I know is that this entire work, everything that's happening in our world, as difficult as it may seem, as sad and as tragic and as heart-wrenching as it is ultimately a calling from the divine for us to put ourselves in the way of beauty a little bit more. For us to recognize the ways in which we've cut ourselves off from that beauty and to do the work of just unraveling that and untangling that with extreme gentleness and extreme kindness towards ourselves, but with a heart that is not willing to stand aside just because we may not be affected by it personally. There is a greater love that is being revealed right now. There is a greater sense of wholeness that is seeking to show itself. And we say yes to that right now. We say yes to the ways we are being transformed. We say yes to the ways we are being called to be part of that transformation, because how good it is, how truly good it is to be a part of the whole and be part of the divine, and to recognize that each one of us is being called. We have all signed up to be a part of this particular moment in history. What an incredible time to be alive. And so we give thanks for being alive right now. And we give thanks for all of the ways in which the spirit world and the physical world are all interconnecting right now. We give thanks for the love that is present. We hold a special place in our heart for Reverend Marla and her family, and know they too are part of this circle, and that they are being held in comfort and love and at peace. And we just give thanks for this thing called life, knowing this is the time. and we are the ones. And so let's allow ourselves to be transformed. Allow God, the divine spirit, to show up a little bit more through beauty, through love, through it all. And it's that we just let it be so. So it is. Amen.
And so it is. Thank you. Black lives matter. I'm listening, I'm feeling, and I hear you. I'm listening, I'm feeling, and I see you. My heart is touched, I'm transforming now, forever moved. You're beautiful, and I'm beautiful. I love you. We're listening, we're feeling, we hear you. We're listening, we're feeling, and we see you. Our hearts are touched, transforming now, forever moved. You're beautiful, we're beautiful. We love you.
Well, I am so honored to represent the board at Unity of Bellevue this morning. And each week I come away transformed, and I give thanks for that. For those of us who call this our spiritual home, we engage in giving as a spiritual practice. Our financial gifts to this center represent our commitment to waking up and creating a vibrant and thriving spiritual community. Therefore, we give generously with an open heart to this community of love. And in this consciousness, please join me as we declare our offering affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
We give gratitude for all that is this day, these opportunities to open more fully into love and beauty in new ways. We give gratitude for all the tithes and offerings given today. We bless these gifts knowing they will multiply greatly for all of those who have given and for our community as they spread our mission and vision into the Puget Sound region and beyond. We call forth now more light, more love, more grace and peace for each one here and for each one not able to be here, that we might be more open channels of ever-expanding good and love in the world as we go out from this service to make a difference in our society. And so it is. Hi, everyone. I'm Monica McDowell-Elvig. I'm your center administrator. We welcome everyone to our virtual online Unity of Bellevue services. If you are visiting with us for the first time, we are so grateful you are here. We see your beauty and we invite you to walk with us in beauty as we expand in new ways into how we can live into our mission and vision in a way that affirms Black Lives Matter. We are so grateful you are here, and we have a lot of online offerings that I would like to tell you about. The first one is we've got new summer classes coming this coming this month, and we invite you to take a look at all of them. Reverend Marla is teaching practical spirituality. That starts on Tuesday afternoon, June 23rd, and that will be an afternoon class. So if that is available for you for your schedule, look into that class. She is also teaching East Meets West on Wednesday evenings, beginning on June 24th. And on July 11th, I'll be teaching a Free for Life EFT workshop. That is a tapping workshop around anxiety, stress, and trauma. If you're into that, you can check that out. And also we'll be doing some breathwork practice groups. All of those are on our website under events, under classes and workshops, and they're also on our weekly e-newsletter. We also have a weekly Wednesday Community Connect at 1 p.m. Through Zoom. You can find that link on our website under our launch page. There's a button at the top of our website that will get you to that link. We invite you to informally check in with Reverend Marla and each other every Wednesday to stay focused on our spiritual principles during this time. We also have a Thursday evening book discussion on A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. That is at 7:30 on Thursdays, and that is a drop-in class. You are welcome to attend any Thursday, and a love offering will be gratefully received for that class. Our book of the month, Beauty and the Soul by Piero Ferrucci, is available for purchase. It is a way to support our bookstore and our community at this time, and so that we can all be reading and be growing in consciousness in the same way. So if you would like to purchase that, you can go to our website under events, click on the menu, Book of the Month, and fill out the form, and I'm happy to send that to you. It's $20, includes everything. Our prayer chaplains are always happy to pray with you. If you have any prayer requests, you can go to our website on the prayer page and fill out the form. That will go to our prayer chaplains. You can also email them directly at prayerchaplains@unityofbellevue.org. If you have a need or a request to talk with someone or to pray with someone over the phone, put that in your message and one of the prayer chaplains will be happy to call you. And Sabrina, our youth director, has an announcement. Sabrina, you're on.
Hi, I'm Sabrina. I'm happy that all of you are joining today. I'm the Youth and Family Program Director, and I'm ready for a Unity Kids online experience that will start at 11:40 today. But before we will do that, I would like to invite the adults to, first of all, join, but also in 2 weeks, we will have Father's Day. And just like we did it for Mother's Day, I would really love to honor all our beautiful mothers. Like I did it with the mothers, I would like to honor now the fathers in our lives, like people that encouraged us when we grew up, all dads, all male people who encouraged us. So if you would like to join, send in some pictures from you and your dad, or you can also do a craft if you would like to. I'm always happy about crafts. You can also send in a little video or help your child to do so for his dad or her dad. So I'd be happy to have a lot of material. And with that, I will do a video that we will show in 2 weeks on Father's Day in our celebration service, but also in our Kids Connect. So I'm happy to create that for all our beautiful fathers. And I'm excited to get all your material. You can just send it via email. You can find the email online on our website. And I'm happy that you will participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. A couple of more announcements. Men's Breakfast Group meets online this Saturday at 8:30. If you would like to attend that, send an email to the office, or if you have Vic's email, you can contact him directly to get that Zoom link. We are also having Q&A Sunday today. So following Unity Kids is question and answer with the board. If you have any questions about our principles, practices, and policies, we invite you to stay for that or to take a break and come back around noon. And to stay up to date on all of our weekly events, sign up for our weekly newsletter if you have not already. There's a form at the bottom of every page on our website. Thank you, everyone. And just thank you, everyone, for being here and for helping out. Reverend Masando, we are so grateful for your message, for your heart. just thank you so much. Thank you to Becca for the music, Clayton for being our board host, Susan for helping out running the service, Jan for facilitating our meditation service, and of course, Sabrina for running Unity Kids. We always look forward to those. Stay on if you'd like. There'll be a PowerPoint following the service. And of course, for those of you who joined late, Reverend Marla, we're keeping her and her mother and her family in our prayers. Her mother has gone into hospice in the last few days, so we hold her in our hearts. Let us close the service with our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed week. Black Lives Matter.